inclusive.
Awesome.
Conversation.
Fabulous.
Responsibility.
Happiness.
Brilliant.
Valuable.
The community dialogue itself is something that we've devised to enable communities to come together and talk about issues that matter to them.
They could be groups around the city who are connected together for a community purpose. They could be groups that come together for a faith purpose. They could be groups that come together for a cultural purpose. But the idea is to link them, so we'd have the opportunity for people to get to know each other, to learn a little bit of, explore their identity, to learn a bit about their social engagement, and to think about the community in which they lived.
I really enjoyed it. At first, I felt like, oh, I don't belong here, I don't feel comfortable. As we went through the program, oh my Lord, I enjoyed this so much.
So I really love hearing people's stories, but I also really enjoy seeing those relationships develop over the course of the one session and 2 sessions even, and how before they don't know who anyone else is in the room, but by the end they're all laughing with each other, they're all sharing stories, and they're talking about not just fun things but also things which difficult things, and how they are all passionate about resolving those issues in their local area. So it goes from not from being complete strangers to people who are working together for their communities.
Community dialogue is important because it gives an opportunity for people to ask the questions that we all have, but either too afraid to ask or never had opportunity to ask.
A simple communication, a social networking, allows people to open themselves, socially connect, and you are able to resolve those misconceptions or assumptions or what you call stereotyping by a simple 30-second conversation.
So when we can break down some of them barriers and we can integrate and become more unified as a community, I think the impact will be so much greater on things like lowering like antisocial behaviour and lowering kind of crime and making a place a stronger place to live.
Myself and Walsall Council were involved in the community dialogue programme because we were selected as one of 5 pilot national integration areas by the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government, and we took a variety of tenders, and Faith and Beliefs Forum shone out heads and tails above everybody else's in terms of innovation, not just in terms of promoting dialogue but building solid relationships between the different groups it was seeking to work with.
Dialogue allows us to discuss, and discussing allows us to educate one another. And once we can educate one another on a certain topic, or at least our opinion, we have greater forms of respect. And where there's respect, I feel we increase tolerance. And where there's tolerance, we have a fluctuating society. And society relies on this form of tolerance and respect because we are all so different. We don't have to be the same.
I found it a very positive experience. I found it very enriching because we'd never met each other before, but because everybody was there for the same reason, because they wanted to be in this space for dialogue. You felt we managed it. Somehow we really did dialogue on actually quite a deep level with people that I've never met before. They'd never met me. But yes, I think it was a mutually enriching experience for everybody.
Because we often talk about dialogue when there are tensions or conflicts, but dialogue in fact is and should be part and parcel of our lives. It's only when we as a community start that process of talking to people who are very different from us that we start to build relationships, and when we build relationships we are then better protected, so that when unforeseen circumstances, when communities are hit with a curveball, for example, like COVID-19, we are then better prepared to deal with its outcomes and its aftermath.
We really believe we'd see closer communities emerge if this community dialogue program were to take place in other parts of the country, especially parts of the country where there is a lot of diversity, but there isn't necessarily a lot of integration.
And what's really heartwarming for us is that Faith and Beliefs Forum have taken some of the learning that they've had in Walsall and redeployed that in other areas, including within our neighbour Birmingham. So there is that sense of legacy and sustainability and a developmental approach in terms of what can we do to try and make this part and parcel of local authority life.
So we have so far done a dialogue project in Birmingham, in Walsall, and in Barking and Dagenham, and that could be absolutely placed anywhere else in the country, and we could recreate it and have the same values, the same exploration, the same meeting of other. And it doesn't just have to be faith communities meeting each other. It could be all sorts of community backgrounds that could meet, secular and non-secular. And that is the real power of it, that it brings people together, whoever they are.